welcome back to the AM Club right here on MX24. If you're just joining in, you made the right choice. My name is Akushika Lebene, and you're welcome to the AM Club. We're excited to have you join us this morning, and we're going to be having great conversations, especially for those who are looking to break down what happened on the 6th of March. Okay, we'll get right into it, because I know a lot of people, there are lots of conversations online. We spent less, we spent more, we will spend forever. All the things you're saying, we're about to break it down right here on the show. And joining me for this conversation, Edmond Fando Wilson, NPP Communications Team member, who's meeting his godfather here, Dr. Samuel Sesa, National Communications Team member for the NDC. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
How are we doing?
Great.
How are you doing?
I'm doing so well, you know.
Let me just pick on you a little bit. How's the opposition?
Opposition is actually very peaceful because the
Yeah?
burden to deliver is not really on you. One of the primary mandates is just to make sure you keep government in check. In as much as we want them to perform well, we will also pardon them when we see that they are getting it wrong somewhere. I'm very glad we have met again this morning, and
Yes.
let me use this opportunity to wish all Ghanaians happy independence celebrations again.
Yes.
We are still in the Ghana month, and as you
Yes.
can see, I'm really adorning my
Your
Ghanaian
fugu, the fugu
costume,
you
yes.
put.
I mean,
Did you push against it at any point? No.
No,
You
never done
agreed,
that. I
okay.
mean, it's nationalistic.
So we're good.
Personally, I'm a lover of fugu, so that's the point. Yes, so far so good. Opposition has been very peaceful. Just a few sabotage and then attacks from government on our former respected appointees and all that. We are still waiting on them to see what they'll do with those cases. At the end of the day, Ghana first. And we'll also keep them in check as we have started.
Okay. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
It's
Again.
good to see you.
Kweku, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're staying with the Kweku.
Yeah, we're
staying with the Kweku.
That's my own special way of celebrating the Ghana month.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you stay with Kweku at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we'll get straight into the independence celebration. I'll just take us back a little bit and look at how much was spent on the celebration, because we know that the entire idea of moving the independence celebration from its usual state to a new way of celebrating by, taking it to the Jubilee House, just making a simple, noise. Let me say, very quiet noise. Is that the right thing to say? Well, just not make too much noise about the celebration and just, make it simple and less expensive. So in 2017, it is alleged that $20 million, Ghana cedis, was spent on the independence celebration 2018, 18.5 million. Still in cedis, 2019, 3 million allocated, 16.5 million Ghana cedis spent. So $3 million allocated and 16.5 million Ghana cedis spent. 2020, 13 million. 2021 held at Jubilee House, 10 million. 2022 held at Cape Coast, 16 million Ghana cedis. 2023 held at Ho, 13.7 million Ghana cedis. And 2024 held at Koforidua, and all the monies that it's alleged to have been spent. And then just a couple of days ago, the minister in charge of government communications spoke to us about how much was spent on the 69th Independence Day, and he said 1.5 million Ghana cedis was spent, or is the cost that it was allocated in terms of celebration of the Independence Day. And so again, we're looking at a cost massively capped. In your opinion, PR or real facts, and is a call in the right direction in terms of how the entire celebration has been, brought down to a simple event that does not involve so many things and also does not incur a lot of costs. Sorry.
Thank you once again for the opportunity. Let me say good morning to my respected senior.
Say what it is.
Senior in the game, senior everywhere. Right from the grassroots level at Accra Academy, he was there.
He was your senior.
Yes, one of the very few people we looked up to,
Yeah.
and we still do. So I'm really in a tight corner.
In
this
a tight
evening,
corner this one. Your
for the
senior is
interest of-
watching you.
for the
Your
interest
senior
of
is
the
watching you,
nation.
looking at you. You better behave yourself.
For the interest of the nation, I think we'll say it as it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Yes.
for the question. My regards to the MPP rank and file members in the Sikumodo Brakwa constituency in the Central Region, from the chairman to all the executives, polling station, electoral coordinators, and every single body pushing for the New Patriotic Party to come back to power. And also, I can't go on without acknowledging the effort of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, incoming President of Ghana 2029, for keeping the party together in these trying times and making sure that the peace and harmony he had preached had come to fruition. On the topic of the Independence Day, independence is a topic that we cannot politicize that much. Ghana exists because of independence, and so it is a celebration that is really must be upheld in its highest form and originality. Looking at the historic background of this celebration, it is not only about speeches and marching or just what you can call it, but it's a celebration that for once the whole country, the tribes that coexist, the people that coexist, all come together. The nation stands at standstill to celebrate just one purpose, togetherness. And so if we are going to thrive as a nation, I think much of it depends on how much we prioritize cohesion. You know, looking back, it hasn't been that easy to bring all these clans and groups together to form Ghana. Hasn't been easy. It also reminds us of our past. And so it's something that is really important to Ghana. It's like telling your 8-year-old daughter that, you know, we are cutting down on spending, so we are not going to celebrate your birthday the way it should have its meaning and purpose.
Which is wise.
Yes, I mean, in actual sense, you know, looking at the implications that this has brought, economic-wise, the celebrations that were moved from region to region, that we saw a regional representation in the New Patriotic Party era. Look at the celebrations that were done at Koforidua. I mean, the anticipation from the masses, local trade that was boosted, tourism, hotels being filled up, foods being bought, things that were really purchased during that time. Transportation increased. There was actually there was the purchase of goods and services. Practical examples. Let's say the independence has been announced in Tamale. The local traders, the industry players, all of them will come together, prepare themselves very well, and then anticipate the economic inflow that will come into the region. For once, I think in a day, the market cap of our country, in terms of regional balance, would increase with respect to the requisite region that the country will be visiting. And also, it exposes the region and its lapses to national attention. One critical example is the Koforidua Beats Market, that after the Jackson Park celebration, the GEA spotted the devastating infrastructure there and then quickly moved in to renovate it. By October 3rd, 2024, it was renovated. And so these are the things we are talking about. Now, the Independence Day has been reduced to just a television show. Sorry to say that, but actually it is the truth. It has reduced to a television show that the president will just address the nation like we've had in several times, you know. And the energy, the commitment, and the patriotism attached to it has been dropped, in my opinion. The display of our culture. I was thinking about this fact. You know, we are in a modern age where social media really boosts audience and reach. Look at the encounter with I Show Speed and then Shebata Museum. Now look at the trade balance of the Shebata globally and the attention Ghana has gained. Just one moment's exposure and experience. Assuming that we have Independence Day in the north or Savannah or Western or Eastern, and a specific culture has been promoted or displayed worldwide, with the current trends and the Gen Z era that we post almost everything, I'm sure we'll gain some traction to these areas. So we should just look beyond the monies attached to it, and then also politicizing it in a way to make it look like previous governments were doing it wrongly by just balancing and then decentralizing it. If we are going to cut down on spending, I think there are more areas where the government can look at, either than just a very important day to the Republic, and then the very important day that binds us together as Ghanaians. We have a government that is more interested in spending just over 20 million cedis to 50 million cedis on just renaming an international airport. Yes, I mean, the cost of renaming...
Figures have already come out with regards to that.
You know, experts are putting out, it's not just about naming the signage and all. You have to go down into even the staff clothing, changing a lot of things in the system, and it's going to take a lot. We are more interested in doing that than to, I mean, keep up with the good patriotic spirit the Independence Day brings. I think government has not been good to Ghanaians because they have limited the access to even these centers. Look at an Independence Day at a very, wide area where the ordinary Ghanaian can access. This is what we are talking about. You just get the feel of being a member of this country. Now, it's as a high security zone, and I don't think sitting here I'll get the opportunity to say I'm going to sit if I'm not invited. All these things must be looked at. If you can spend 20 million cedis to 50 million cedis plus on just renaming Kotoka International Airport in this era, then I don't think it's a priority of you to just look at cutting down whatever cost you deem fit at Independence Day celebrations. Thank you.
Let's see. Thank you very much, Doc. Your take on that.
All right, Miriam. Thank you very much. I want to see some people, cherished people from a small community in the central region, Komua Ojobi. They've inspired me throughout my journey, and I continue to remember them wherever I find myself. I'd also want to say a very good morning to our National Communications Officer, Lawyer Sami Jemfi, and then our National Communications team members. We are in a very wonderful month, a month where, as Ghanaians, we can pride ourselves that we are walking a path that is going to restore the hope that was once lost. For emphasis sake, I always want to say on record that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is not going to be on a ballot paper again. And this is a platform that he's using to make an impact in the lives of the ordinary Ghanaian. Open to criticisms, he is making the best decisions that is not aimed at influencing the next crop of voters or to make biased decisions for short-term gains, such as electoral gains. It's important to note that the Independence Day celebration, as mentioned by my colleague here, very wonderful and patriotic submissions.
Yeah.
However, I disagree with some parts that he has mentioned, but I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
It's very important we understand that the Independence Day celebration, one, promotes national cohesion and unity. It also brings about our identity, because for most of the younger generation coming up, that is the day they get to understand, most importantly, what our independence is about, why we make it so flamboyant, why we want to celebrate it to its maximum, and why, most importantly, we bring out our cultural identity during such a time. But it's important to note that besides all this celebration and this flamboyance, it's important to note that Ghana was the first African country to gain independence. Are we proud of where we are economically, with our education, with our finances? As a nation, can we boast of even our infrastructural development, comparing it to some African countries that got their independence way later? Malaysia got their independence in 1957, and they are much more of a developed country than Ghana. It's important that if, like I mentioned, President John Dramani Mahama not looking to woo people for short-term benefits and creating procurement avenues for people to just swindle government, it's important to note that creating the Independence Day and making it symbolic for Ghanaians is all that is needed. And mind you, reducing a budget of 20 million, 16 million to 1.5 million in 2 consecutive years would save us close to about 37 to 33 million Ghana cedis. These monies can do a lot, even for our education sector in this country. it's important to also ascertain that this Independence Day celebration has even been one of the best that we've been able to experience. For the very first time, I walk out and I see people willingly wanting to be patriotic, wearing Ghana jerseys everywhere. The
The
independence.
first time we are celebrating Independence Day with Ghana Jersey, but you people give me the background on how this whole jersey craze started. 'Cause I
Right.
still don't
So
understand.
so like I mentioned earlier, it's about national cohesion, unity, and our identity as a people. The Independence Day was celebrated in South Africa, where Otumfuo was even a guest speaker. You can see most of our diasporans organizing their own festivities elsewhere, showing their identity and how proud they are to be Ghanaians. It tells you that, like what President John Dramani Mahama said during the State of Nations address, that this time around we want to build prosperity and restore hope. That is what you can see exhibiting in the Ghanaian people. And so, like you've mentioned, for me, the figures matter a lot. It is not only a flamboyant activity being done on TV, but the purpose of the celebration is being experienced by the ordinary Ghanaians.
Right.
Previously, we decentralize it, give money to MMDCs, district assemblies, to organize celebrations at the district level. We do same at the regional level, and then we do one at Independence Square. Sometimes, to an extent, it was even moved from region to region. Though it was very impactful to see the Asantehene at an Independence Day celebration in Ashanti region and to see one in the Volta region, it is very important to understand that we cannot shortchange our destinies for short-term glories and benefits. We cannot, apart from, I heard Wilson talking about the fact that people benefit from trade economically and all those things.
But that's true.
Apart from the procurement expenses that we make, where people are given huge sums of contracts to prepare food, supply water, tents, canopies, and what have you, the very few people who go there to trade water, to trade petty stocks at the event, would not be able to trade those things even after that event. And so how sustainable is it to carry such an amount of money to organize a one-day event, rather than prioritizing being able to create avenues that will create long-lasting and sustainable development for the people of this country to be able to rely on? So,
I mean, realistically speaking, some of these people that we're looking at, they're people who already engage in such trades. If we're staying with the conversation of, economical benefits on the local level, I mean, they're already probably selling, and I take probable because, again, some of these people are very adventurous enough to start a whole new trade just because an event is coming in. But again, it's still economically beneficial to them, isn't it?
Yeah, so like you've mentioned, it's about, like I mentioned, John Dramani Mahama is thinking about how to create sustainable prosperity for the people of Ghana. Such economic venture, though very helpful, does not have long-lasting impact on the economic benefits of such people. It's important that we understand that, for instance, this year, most of these basic schools who go for the marching experience during the set march marched on their various school campuses.
Yes.
And so the idea about marching has not been lost. The enthusiasm towards the occasion has not been lost. The president's speech and showcasing our talent or the prowess of our army is still done at the forecourt of the Jubilee House. And so for me, if people want to still have the feel of this celebration, they get the chance to. But the problem here is the short-term economic gains, worthy for us to shortchange that finances that we spend on such an occasion each year on this ceremony. I tell you explicitly that it is not. And that is why I think that President John Dramani Mahama is making the hard decisions, the bold decisions, and trying to secure the interest and the future of the Ghanaian people.
Okay. So, again, as usual, there are diverse opinions about one topic, but share with us your thoughts and your opinions on the conversation of celebration of the of course, you put in Wish Me International Women's Day.
Oh.
That's why I'm going to repeat. It's
So-
the Independence Day, guys. The 69th Independence Day celebration. It has sparked a lot of conversations, so stay with us. Share your thoughts with us as well. 055 0331511 055 0331511. Let's get to hear from you. Now, this conversation been coming. I have said it's over here different panelists have come through and talked about it, that really and truly, we can celebrate all we want, what the economy is looking like, what prices are looking like. But when international events begin to affect us, let's just not say that we didn't say before and we are saying a different thing now. And I'm going to explain. But before I explain that, let's talk about what's going on. And Sammy Gyamfi has been speaking. He said how Iran war is hitting Ghana's, actually, Iran war hitting Ghana's export of gold. So the ongoing Middle East war is reportedly influencing Ghana's gold export trade, the country's top export commodity. According to a report, Reuters.com, the war, which started after the United States and Israel attacked the Islamic Republic of Iran, has made it impossible for Ghana to transfer gold to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, where Ghana refines it for supply to several countries, including Switzerland, Hong Kong, and India. The report indicated that the situation has led the Ghana Gold Board, Ghana state-run artisanal gold exporter, to work on shifting its gold cargoes to alternative refining hubs if flight disruptions to Dubai persist. And. So we're now coming to look for, and that's the first problem I think we have here. We're now coming to look for who. And if we haven't found yet, it's very disappointing. But I believe that the team at the Gold Board are doing their work. And this is me holding brief for them. In fact, I carry my full chest to hold brief for them, because if they do not know yet where to take gold to refine at this point, then we're not, doing so well. And again, we've heard several times in reports all over the country. That's part of the reason why we have a stable city, is because the Gold Board is doing a great job.
Yeah,
so there we go. Another issue that is not something we, did, nothing we contributed to, but affecting us. Something which, by the way, and again, I'm going to give people the bombastic side eye and say that something which might have happened in the Akufo-Addo administration that we didn't agree to. That the Russia-Ukraine war could have never affected the economy of this country. But here we are, saying that indeed it is possible for an international war to affect the economy of Ghana. So what are we saying again? I'm going to start with you. If this issue persists, and we really, really, really have to look for an alternative route, which means that there's a high possibility that whatever Gold Board is doing to sustain the Ghana cities could be affected. What then do we do from there? Do we come to the Ghanaian people to complain, or we solve the issue? As we are not permitted as Ghanaians to, or a Ghanaian leader is not permitted to say that an international war is affecting anything they're doing as an economy.
You know what? It's very sad that such an event is happening in such a time and during this period. Because the fortunes of this country has looked very promising.
Absolutely.
And people had gotten their confidence back. It bothers me that even in such a century, you see the supposed very educated, well-informed people not wanting peace, but choosing war. Yes, it's quite a problem. And whatever is happening in the Middle East is going to affect everybody at every corner of the world. But let me just use this simple rhetoric. If you are a farmer and you supply to a particular company your farm produce, if something happens within the farm, irrespective of the fact that the company can look at other places or other avenues to be able to pick their stock, there is definitely going to be a challenge to them, because what has happened at your farm, not being able to supply them with their stock, is something new to them.
Yeah.
And they would now have to revise whatever they are doing and look elsewhere to be able to find out their solutions for their production. Now, Ghana as a country does not even only depend on the Middle East for our gold refinery. There are a lot more things we even import from there and even export to them. And this is going to affect us in several ways. We've seen independent committees and commissions projecting on fuel, projecting
This morning there have been new findings about that.
Yeah.
So
Projecting on fuel, projecting on even electricity, projecting on fertilizer, economy.
So every sector is going to be affected.
Yeah, every facet of our economy is going to receive a shock. But we are very hopeful that the plans that we put in place will be able to absorb and mitigate the shock that will come. If we say there will not be any shock, then we are not being real to ourselves. But the most important thing is where we met the economy and where we've been able to bring the economy. For us, we were of strong will that we were on the right path. Now, when this shock is coming in, what we are going to look at is that we need to find ways and means to be able to prepare ourselves for future escalations and then shock that will be thrown at us. Because Gold Board has signed an agreement to start a gold refinery in Ghana. Ghana has revived, or the John Dramani Mahama government has been able to revive the Tema oil refinery.
Absolutely.
And it's doing very well with the tons of productions that they make per week. I think that as a country, we need to start thinking this independent, Nkrumah way of thinking, of making sure that we prepare ahead of the capitalist nature of the West and the world out there. Because if we are not able to do this, always all these shocks will determine our macro and microeconomic figures and how we are able to improve our economy as a country. So as for the shock, for me, I have already decided and prepared myself for the shock that will come. But I understand that Gold Board has put in place an emergency committee doing their possible best to find places where we can do our refinery and be able to do our export to our international markets at the same price that we do, or even at better prices. Though it is going to be challenging, we know that the results and responses will be refreshing. But it's a period, and we will have to go through it.
And it's a lesson to you as well. Give it to you.
Thank you.
Today I'm speaking for you, Abi.
You're not speaking for me. You're speaking for the ordinary. Yes, the ordinary Ghanaian, and I mean that is the reality. So you can't even deviate from it. I'm very much surprised that my senior respected colleague and then Doc is acknowledging that this time there's a certain activity elsewhere in the world that can have an impact on our economy. The person in contention here who made the statement, I don't think lawyer Sammy Gyamfi has called for any attention on the economy with respect to the Iran war. He's just talking about a problem that his agency is facing. But from Doc's submission, I can tell that there's that assumption by government that these shocks are actually going to have an impact on the economy. If that is the case, then I think the whole NDC as a party and government must apologize to Ghanaians. Simply because you cannot have your way to power through distorting facts, lying your way, and then at the end of the day, when these same facts are presented to you, now you assume position and say that, oh, this is the reality. Then why would you come to lie to the people? We have the president of Ghana on tape saying that Ukraine was 7,000 kilometers away from Ghana, and so what does it got to do with Ghana? I want to use this platform to remind Doc and the president of Ghana and all the appointees that Iran is 9,000 plus kilometers away from Ghana. And so we should use the same yardstick to judge the situation. If they are going to stand by it, then they need to first apologize to the good Ghanaian people. That, look, we just painted the MPP black for you to vote them out, for us to come in and enjoy the benefits that are accrued to the position. What has Ghana got to do with an Iran war? And in this time around, we are supposed to believe that. And also, for lawyer Sammy Gyamfi, he has also made statements. And at a time where COVID had caused many nations to run to IMF, the NDC in opposition told us that, no, you can't make any excuse with COVID. And I think they should stand by their points. The NDC must be seen to be principled. They should stand by their points. They seem to have very clear solutions in opposition, that COVID is not a factor. And so what has changed? Where are the solutions that need to be put in place? Because there's another war looming. At the end of the day, the Ghanaian people will suffer. And for us in the MPP, we do not wish that the economy collapses, but we are praying that they will have the strength They will have the wisdom, they will have the knowledge and requisite information to sustain the economy at least. If that is the case, then all the blame job that was put on MPP should not work. All the economic issues that we got after COVID and the recovery phase that was put in place, we should not be blamed for that. I don't think the NDC have been fair to Ghanaians and the New Patriotic Party if they stand by this position. And funny enough, it's the president himself who masterminded this whole agenda just to make the then government unpopular. But at the end of the day, governance is a continuous process. As we speak today, we do not know what will happen tomorrow. It could be USA and Nigeria. You know, recently we had a threat from US to Nigeria. So it could even be at our doorstep, affecting the ECOWAS sub-region. What are we going to do then?
That's when we pray against it, he said.
And at the end of the day, we can't control these geopolitics.
But we pray against that
But
one.
I'm
That's
just
too close.
sending an information across that politics, is to serve the people at very important positions where the country itself is finding itself in a difficult situation. We must be able to admit, because MPP and NDC, at the end of the day, we want to make Ghana better. But for you to charge Ghanaians up against the government, that is what I'm more interested in. For Ghanaians to know that the NDC lied with COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, it's not even COVID though. COVID itself is one big problem. Then after, you jump into Russia-Ukraine war. And so we should all swallow back our words, all the insults, all the harsh words said on Nanado and His Excellency Bawumia. We should all swallow them back, take them back, apologize to them. I remember very well COVID time, His Excellency Nanado said, we know how to bring back the economy to life. But what we do not know is how to bring back a dead person. He was referring to the shocks that were there. He was referring to the problems that will be coming, as Doc has indicated this morning, that we know how to bring it back. Because from the attacks that are coming on Ghanaian economy, an economy that is so fragile, you should know that we can't survive it. But we know how to marshal forces and bring it back. And before we left, we put some systems in place to make sure that at least the next administration would continue on the productivity. And so that's what I'll say, that they lie to Ghanaians. His Excellency Dramani Mahama, they should just apologize to Ghanaians. And we'll begin to admit whether we'll listen to them.
No, it's not
But
entirely so.
Even at the end of the day, we expect them to deliver. Because now they are in power and they are not in opposition.
And they have said that it shouldn't bother us if there's anything happening.
No, we don't care at all.
It's not entirely so. The thing is, first and foremost, His Excellency Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo never brought the economy back to life. He told us that they cannot bring humans back to life, but they can bring the economy back to life. They never brought boats back to life. Humans died, the economy died. It's important to note that what John Dramani Mahama has done is picking up the scraps that were left, putting them together and giving hope to the ordinary Ghanaian citizen.
You know, the conversation we are having is that there is a problem that is brewing. And if we're not careful, it can get worse from here. Because I was watching the president of the president of America the other day, and he's saying that he's not ready to stop. This can go on a few more weeks. 15 more weeks. He was saying this boldly, which means that he's ready to go with his allies as long as the people keep retaliating. And so this could get worse. And already this morning, we're saying that, we're hearing that already crude oil vessels are being attacked, which means that it's going to affect this part of the region. And so it gets worse. As it gets worse, and we, this morning, are talking about gold being affected as the first, commodity that's going to be affected as this issue continues. It gets worse from here. Sometimes when you look at these things, right?
Yeah.
What are we putting together? But also, let's take into consideration the fact that in the actual government, we told them that they cannot complain.
It was loud and clear.
Because Ukraine is far away from us. Russia is far away from us. We cannot complain because COVID has been handled by other people well, so we cannot complain. Are we going to sing the same song? That we shouldn't complain because these issues cannot affect us?
Like I submitted earlier, I made mention of the fact that we expect some shocks to hit the country. However, we are comparing apples and oranges. When you compare the situation of Russia and then Ukraine, These are two countries that are fighting their battles. That Ghana does not depend on entirely for so many of the commodities that they export. We are talking about crisis in the Middle East that is affecting the entire world order. A lot of the countries, they supply about 20% of the oil that most countries across the world uses. It is important to note that when such a crisis comes, you cannot compare it to a fight that is happening between Russia and Ukraine.
I see.
And it is also important. Education is very important.
Please go ahead and educate us.
And it is also important
Yes.
to understand that, like we've identified, leadership is all about finding solutions to problems that come. It took the erstwhile government 3 to 4 years without finding any solution to the problem that befaced us as a country. Dollar, our FX, our fuel, everything that we trade with, basically in this country, was on the rise without any intervention whatsoever from government. You could also see a nonchalant character from our president and appointees of the external administration when we were in crisis, and you could see them living lavishly. Just yesterday, there has been a notice, just the past weekend, there has been a notice from the Jubilee House, from the president, that all appointees serving on government boards and agencies are supposed to be regulated with their international flights and travels in order to be able to reduce costs. This is a government that is thinking about fiscal discipline. This is a government that is trying to restore hope and make the Ghanaian people understand that whatever be the situation that befalls us, we are going to absorb the shock with you and not live in a different life or a different world while you continue to suffer. So one, identification of the incoming problem. We've been able to identify it. Two, I am establishing that Russian-Ukraine war and what is happening in the Middle East and Iran and Israel are apples and oranges. We can't compare both.
We can't compare both. Yo.
Let me have a very last bite on just
No,
where Doc
you
ended.
don't have the very last bite.
See, the Russia exports 78% of it. I'm coming. Ghana, okay, the second largest exporter of fuel and mineral to Ghana is Russia. And from data I have here, we get about 75.8 of our fuel from Russia. We also get 40% of our fertilizer from and 50% of our flying wheat from Russia.
So
It goes
not
on
apple
and on and on.
oranges
It is
then.
together. It
So
is
it's not
together.
apples and oranges then.
We have
Anyway, the conversation
a
continues.
lot of goods and
things.
services.
And I know that I just honestly wish we didn't have to do this, but our time is already up
Sure.
and we have to go. But gentlemen, whether it's apples and oranges, or we can now swallow our words and say that
We are sorry.
Unfortunately,
and
what we
President
said
Mahama must
before-
lead the charge.
that is if he believes that he should.
Then we'll
Because
look up to that.
There probably are more information out there that we don't know that really and truly, maybe this could not really affect us. I mean, when you
We are
think about
hoping,
it.
we are
So I
hoping.
pray that we have reasonable reason to not apologize, or if we have to, we'll have a reason too. But gentlemen, thank you so much. It has been a great conversation. Now, to you out there, like I told you earlier, we're still talking about the development of this country. And so if you have any comments, submissions on what the gentleman said on the topics we have touched on this morning, you can still share with us as we learn and grow together. We have more coming up. Events Guide is coming up here on the AM Club. We'll be right back after this.